Episode 7 of The Last of Us was as emotional as ever, but it still left us with many questions. In this video, we are going to explain the events of Episode 7, analyze how Riley left a lasting impact on Ellie, and discuss what this means for Joel and Ellie's journey going forward, all while breaking down our 6 biggest takeaways. Let's jump in, starting with our first takeaway. Number 1, a deep dive into Ellie's past. Episode 7 opens with Ellie trying to save Joel from the stab wound. Joel tells her to go north and head back to Tommy, but she fights him on it. After arguing back and forth, Ellie starts to walk out. And as she does, the scenery heads straight to Ellie running around a basketball court in Fedra Military School. In the flashback, we see that Ellie has always had a defiant attitude. One of the girls takes Ellie's Walkman music player, saying that she doesn't want to have to run more because of Ellie slacking. The girl pushes her buttons and Ellie ends up fighting her. She gets a speech from one of the officers at the Fedra school, telling her that she needs to get her act together and start obeying orders, telling her that she could either end up like a grunt or be an officer in the future. Ellie just asks for her Walkman back and heads back to her room. While she is in her room, we get a peek into her past, seeing some familiar pieces from previous episodes. On her nightstand is a book of puns by Will Livingston, and she is in bed reading a Savage Starlight comic book. As she is laying in bed trying to sleep, she gets seemingly attacked. But the attacker turns out to be her best friend Riley, who has been missing for 3 weeks. Ellie asks Riley where she's been and she admits that she has joined the Fireflies. Ellie is upset with her for disappearing, which makes sense given that we know her biggest fear is ending up alone. Still, Riley convinces Ellie to sneak out somewhere with her. As they walk, Ellie tells her about how she beat up the girl in the gym. Riley tells Ellie that she shouldn't let her anger get the best of her so quickly. We wonder if this lesson will stick with Ellie into the future. They end up walking into a motel building as Riley plans to take Ellie to the big surprise. In the motel room, they find a dead body laying in the hall. But they are not suspicious at all. They think that the man died from mixing alcohol and pills, but we can tell by looking at him that he appeared to have been infected. The two take the alcohol for themselves and continue their journey. This brings us to our next takeaway. Number 2, a night to remember. They then end up at the mall, which is supposed to be sealed off, but Riley knows of an opening and that the place is connected to the electrical grid. Riley tells Ellie that she has a whole itinerary of events planned for her. As they walk through the mall, we learn a little bit more about how things developed after the outbreak. For example, Ellie is surprised that some of the stores are not empty because her mom once told her that people went through and raided all of the stores. As the two keep walking, they are surprised to find out that there are no infected. Riley shows Ellie the lit-up merry-go-round to her delight, calling it one of the 5 wonders to show her. After the merry-go-round, Riley keeps the adventure going, taking her to check out the photo booth and the arcade. As we watch, the suspense keeps building because we are afraid that there are still infected inside. Plus, we know that the writers like to keep us on our toes and often build beautiful moments just to catch us by surprise. Still, we suspend our fear as we get to watch them play Mortal Kombat, which we know Ellie enjoys based on the poster in her room. And of course, while they play, the camera starts to pan away from the arcade and deeper into the dark, spooky mall. As the camera moves further into the darkness, we see an infected start to wake up, but the two don't know just yet. After celebrating a win in Mortal Kombat, Ellie looks disappointed and tells Riley that she has to leave. The way Ellie looked at Riley seems like she is trying to withhold her feelings for her. But Riley tries to encourage Ellie to keep going and gives her a gift, a book of puns, the second addition to the one she already had. It is clear that Riley was trying to put together a special night for Ellie, one that showed how much she cares about her. The fun starts to end when Ellie finds out what is really going on. We see that Riley has been staying in a sleeping bag behind a restaurant counter in a food court. And Ellie finds a stash of explosives near her sleeping bag, a clear sign of Riley's role with the Fireflies. Ellie storms off, upset and feeling betrayed by Riley, bringing us to our next takeaway. Number 3, Fedra versus the Fireflies. A big component of the episode is the debate between Riley and Ellie regarding whether Fedra or the Fireflies is better. While on the roof, Riley talks about how she ended up joining the Fireflies, and the two friends debate back and forth whether Fedra or the Fireflies are the good guys. Ellie points out that Fedra added lights to a city block and that Fireflies blow things up, while Riley points out that Fedra starves its own people and the Fireflies are trying to stop fascism and build a better world. They discuss the topic again in the mall by the merry-go-round. Ellie asks Riley if she really thinks that she can liberate the QZ with the Fireflies. She proposes that they could become leaders in Fedra and change things from the inside. Riley tells Ellie that she already received her assignment from Fedra and that she is forced to be on sewage detail, pointing out that there is little hope for them to actually change things through Fedra. Let us know your thoughts on this debate in the comments. Later, when Ellie finds Riley's explosives, that debate creates a deeper rift, bringing us to our next takeaway. Number 4, the night gone south. Riley confesses that she has to leave, and that Marlene is sending her to the Atlanta QZ, and that this night is her last night in Boston. Riley explains that she wanted to say goodbye in a special way, but Ellie is not happy, so she coldly says goodbye and walks off. But as she does, she has second thoughts and turns around. Ellie finds Riley in a Halloween store and sits next to her, wanting an explanation for the roller coaster that Riley has put her through, as Ellie thinks Riley is leaving for a cause that she doesn't understand. But Riley explains that she knows what it was like to belong to a family, and she wants a feeling like that again. The conversation turns to a lighthearted tone as Ellie says that Riley is still her best friend, and that she cares about her regardless. Riley starts playing music, the two put on Halloween masks, and start dancing on the counter. As they dance, Ellie takes off the mask and tells her not to go. Riley surprisingly says okay and they kiss. However, the happy moment doesn't last too long as they start to hear clanking around the store, and the infected comes out after them. Riley pulls her gun and gets a couple of shots in on the creature, but it isn't enough as it runs and tackles them both. It continues chasing both of them, but finally, Ellie is able to stab it in the side of the head, killing it. This brings us to our next takeaway. Number 5, the ending explained. Ellie is pumped to feel like they won, but her and Riley discover that they have both been bit, and she starts taking her anger out, breaking the store. This frustration appears to come out as she has never experienced loss before in her life, so she doesn't know how to react. Sitting in the store after being bit, Ellie and Riley go through their options. They either use the gun to end it right there, or they wait it out and spend their last moments spending their time together. They decide to wait it out. The whole episode feels like Ellie having a flashback to these moments with Riley as she considers whether or not she should continue on without Joel. The scene flashes back to Joel and Ellie in present day, and Ellie turns around, searching the house for something that she can use to help Joel. It seems like the two stories are connected, so we wonder what happened with Riley that convinced Ellie not to abandon Joel just yet. In the house, she finds a needle and some thread that she hopes she can use to stitch up his wound. We also didn't get to see how her time with Riley truly ends. However, the fact that we see Ellie go back for Joel after thinking about her night with Riley tells us that she learned something from that night, not to give up on someone you care about. This brings us to our final takeaway from the episode. Number 6, what's next? Unfortunately, we didn't get to spend too much time with Joel in this episode, and we honestly don't know if he is going to be okay in the future episode, because he looks like he's in bad shape. In the teaser for episode 8, it looks like we are going to see more action, as we see explosions, flames, and plenty of gunfire, including Ellie holding a rifle. It also seems like Ellie is by herself, without Joel. The teaser even shows her covering his face with a blanket, so there is a chance that Joel is actually dead, which would be heartbreaking. We hope that maybe she just has to leave him in the house as she looks for help. Whatever the case, it looks like Ellie has some tough decisions to make, as there are people that want to kill her, and others that offer to protect her. At least we know that Ellie has learned many lessons from Riley, Joel, and even Tess that will likely help guide her. Still, we can only wait to see what happens next when episode 8 releases. Episode 8 will release next Sunday, March 5th, and we will be here to break it down when it does. So there we have it, a full breakdown of episode 7. What's your review of episode 7 of The Last of Us? What do you think is going to happen next? Make sure you subscribe so that we can continue to bring you all of the updates and analysis surrounding The Last of Us, and more of the hottest shows and movies out right now. Thanks for watching, we'll see you in the next video.